Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, let's jump right into episode 185. You guys already missed some fantastic pre-show. You might call it foreplay. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Yeah?
Yeah. You're on your own. You were foreplaying with some random skinny black guy.
It was a booty
we
foreplay.
left you alone with that.
Yeah,
Booty
so I was
foreplay.
telling them the story about how early on in my PS4 days, I got a message on the PS4, whatever, friend request thing saying, hey, I remember you from high school. And so I clicked on it, like, oh, who's this? And it was just some dude giving me the full moon. And I didn't know what to do with that.
No, you
So
did. Remember? You said, hey, thanks for their fan request. And then you hung out.
Immediately made plans to meet up with them.
I was like, you know what? I do remember you from high school. Good point. Yeah, no, that was one of those moments where I was like, I guess I block him. I don't know what to do. This is terrifying. It was one of those.
His feelings. He was conflicted. Your feelings.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
So that's
I'm going to text that number I got. So hopefully it's a hot chick.
Yeah, that came
We'll
up
see.
because Derek got someone offering him their number in PlayStation 4 chat. There's a lot of spam bots that come through PS4.
It's
messages.
on Xbox, too. I get hit on Xbox.
So
Well,
Derek,
that's just me.
spoiler alert.
Thanks, bro.
Did you open the picture attached? Because it actually was just a picture of my booty that I sent you. So, spoiler alert.
It was Freitas. It was the Freitas booty.
That's right.
Yeah.
I feel bad that your wife would have to ever look at that thing.
I mean, me too, I guess. Men's butts aren't that great, so.
Alright. I've got America's ass. I can show you the pictures.
Are you saying that your butt is the size of America?
Yeah.
Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's been exercising, losing weight everywhere except for his rear end. It's just massive. It's just
How
huge.
you doing, huh?
All right, no better way to begin an episode of Fathers of the Grind than to talk about
Black man's booty.
male anatomy. All right, so let's jump into stuff from this week. I'm not playing a whole lot of new stuff. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. Finished a campaign actually just this weekend. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Actually, in the group, I posted something about it, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I like what they're doing with the Modern Warfare story, which, by the way, I loved the first 3 games. I thought those campaigns were fun back in the day. And this time, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it is essentially a retelling or a reboot of this story. I'm going to just go ahead and assume that they're going to tell more of this, the story of Price and others, but it was just really cool the way they wrapped it up. So if you've played the previous games or remember any characters' names, there's just one of those moments at the end that you're like, oh, this is sweet the way they were heading with this. So I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. And apparently they've got some minor story stuff that continues in Spec Ops, but I have not tried those missions yet. So wrap that
I think I will play Spec Ops. I will say this. This is the first Call of Duty campaign I probably played in 4 or 5 years where I didn't feel like it was some type of chore. And I know you could say, well, then why did you play the other ones? Because a lot of times I'll buy the Call of Duty games excited. You know, they usually review well, not just for multiplayer. But
and they're a really good showpiece for any console. It's like, this is the best looking game almost every year.
And so the campaigns usually get high scores. And so I'll usually be like, I want to play the campaign. And a lot of times I'll jump in and I'm like, man, I didn't finish. They didn't have one last round. I didn't finish the one previous, but I actually liked what I played of it, but it became tedious. And then, I'm sorry. I did finish the War one, but I didn't finish the one prior to that, which was, I think, made by Infinity Ward. And the one before that, I didn't. So I went through like a 2 or 3 year span where I was like, I can't even finish these. They're just becoming so redundant. And I know I talked about it on last week's show. I think the biggest thing, and I want to continue it with this week talking about it, the biggest change is I didn't feel like I was playing a Call of Duty campaign, even though I knew I was playing a Call of Duty campaign. Let me explain that a little bit. Because I don't want to set people up that haven't played it that they're going to go and be like, well, it's going to be totally different. It's not. It's still very linear. It's not open world, not open areas, no exploring, no RPG elements, nothing. It's the same thing. It's a linear story. It's got great set pieces, all that stuff. What I'm talking about is the big difference, and I thought it might just be a couple of missions, but they actually did this pretty consistently, is I felt like a lot of the mission designs were getting away from just go into an area and have an all-out war where 50 guys are shooting at you. That's where I would get frustrated. That's why I quit a lot of Call of Duty campaigns, because I'm like, this is just annoying. You don't let me cover. You've got 20 guys shooting at me. I don't know where they're shooting from, and I can't take cover. And that's what drives me nuts, because it's not a run and gun, because if you go try to run and gun, you're dead. So you're supposed to be real quick with your shooting, but you're also supposed to find like cover in some way. And so I just felt like they were always poorly designed. This game, even in the open areas, you can take cover. It's not like a great cover system like Gears of War or anything, but there is like a little bit of a cover system. And also, the biggest thing is there's a lot of missions that are very like almost stealth focused. Like they're very like quiet, in the dark. Like they felt more realistic. Like, hey, we're not gonna just go in and blow everybody up. We're gonna go into these
two
little
house ones in particular, right? Where you're going up these narrow stairs and busting through doors.
It's very like, and they're talking to you the whole time. Go through this door, breach this door, and it's real like setting up to. They want you to go through quiet because they want to kill the bad guys and keep the good people, the innocent, alive. And so I felt like they did a really good job. Even like one of the, I'm not going to spoil it, but one of the last missions, they really want you to stealth it, because if you go in loud, they almost make it impossible. Like I died a lot. So I had to figure out a way to go a little bit quieter. They give you a setup where you're in the dark, that you can take out the lights and kind of stealth through a little bit more and take out enemies quieter. You even have a silencer on your gun. So the point I'm trying to make is I felt like the mission structures were done differently and done more realistically, that I felt like, hey, this isn't frustrating. This is fun. I can play it the way I want to play it. I can play it, I think, the way it would be more realistic too. Like, again, if you're in war, and I've said this before, like years ago on our show, if you're in war, what person's going to get up and just run in circles going, nobody. They're going to take cover. They're going to assess the area. Well, Schwarzenegger, Predator, all of that. But like, most people are going to take cover. They're going to assess the situation, figure out what's the best entry point. And I felt like they did a good job with that. So that, besides just the story being pretty decent, I don't feel like it was amazing. I thought it was good. I just felt like the actual gameplay, the mission structures were different enough from what we've experienced in previous Call of Duties, that I like the direction they're going in, and I hope they keep moving in that direction to make it a little bit more realistic. You can still have your all-out war areas, and they did, but I still think you should have more. It should feel like you're part of a special ops team. You should feel like you're a part of a group that goes in quiet.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought the mission structure, like Derek said, was fun. They give you enough open, like big war settings where you've got enemies in every direction. You can kind of pick which path you want to go, but there's also plenty of those small corridors, whether it's a cave or a house or whatever. And I thought the story was pretty interesting. It was a really cool way to kind of reboot what they're doing with the Modern Warfare story. A lot of familiar names and characters will pop up, especially towards the end there, if you've played the previous ones. There's also some pretty good YouTube videos out there that give you a recap of Modern Warfare 1 through 3. And then I watched one when the game was over on what they're doing with the new one. So kind of digging the Call of Duty story these days, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I think
helps. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, kind of bouncing off what you're saying, I think one of the things Call of Duty has always lacked when it comes to campaigns, because they do it kind of like Final Fantasy, where they try to change it up, but they stay in the same universe. I think they've established with Price that they have like a go-to character that people like.
Yeah, and he's a really strong character. He's likable. Yeah. And I also kind of like that you don't control him.
Yeah.
Like you've never controlled. I don't think you've ever controlled Price in any of the games.
I don't think he was controllable in the previous ones. I think he played the same type of role.
He's a prominent role in all three in one way, shape, or form. And some of them less than others, but he's still there. He's a prominent character. And then slight spoilers for Modern Warfare 3 here. At the end, all I'll say is this. At the end, you don't know what happens to Price. It's kind of like the sun sets on Price, and who knows what happens to him. Did he go and continue to do ops of some kind? Did he retire? Did he disappear? Did he end up dying? Like, what happened to him? And then they just left it at that. So when I first saw this game was coming out, I kind of thought, oh, interesting. They're going to continue the story of Price. But now that I've played it, I realized immediately, wow, he looks way younger. I wonder why they made him look so much younger. It all kind of makes sense that they rebooted the story pretty much completely. So it's pretty great. I really like it. Highly recommend it. Daniel, have you played Campaign yet? I know you rented it for the weekend.
Yeah, because I was playing with you guys Saturday night. No, it's Friday
I
night.
didn't play with you. You never joined.
No, I was there. You were missing, dummy. You don't even know what's going on. You don't even know how video games work online. You can't figure out your computer, your video games. Jesus.
He's a gift from heaven straight to IT.
I'm telling you, I fixed everybody's computers at work. I just did it last week. But when it comes to this crap, I'm like, why? Like, even when I first joined Daniel tonight, I did it again. I'm like, what are you doing?
No, that's why your IT's worst nightmare, because knowing your experience with computers, you should be able to do most of this stuff. But when I'm like, hey, just change your audio input settings, you're like,
what?
Don't understand what you're saying, nerd.
No.
Reboot. Move. Reboot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's classic.
But anyway.
Right, so anyway, you were saying you played at some of this Friday night.
So I played with you guys minus Derek on Friday night. And then actually last night, Dan Phillips and I were playing. So that was a good time.
Nice.
Okay. And yeah, I haven't played a Call of Duty. Gee, what was the last one I actually even played? Maybe Modern
Did you like the multiplayer though? What you played of it?
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I obviously haven't played enough of them, and again, it's been a while to really kind of differentiate the minutia between them now and like say Modern Warfare 2. I think Modern Warfare 2 is literally the last one I played. Like I haven't played a Call of Duty in a long time. So
Modern Warfare 2, by the way, of the stories has some of the biggest twists. I don't know if you remember that campaign at all, but it's got some of the craziest twists and saddest moments. Honestly, throughout it.
I actually didn't even play. I didn't play the campaign of it. I think I just played online. Okay. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, the online is fun. The campaign has actually kind of hit me in the feels a few times, to be honest.
Yeah, man.
Yep. I was actually going to ask you if you guys can tell me about how far I am. So the sequence that's a flashback.
There's a couple of those.
So the first one.
So there's one
then
where
you're
much
probably
younger.
on like sequence 6 or something, 6 or 7. So
you're
about probably a little less than half.
You're right around half, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where I just
that
finished.
One's crazy, right? That one's
And just the things that happen to certain individuals in that one, I was like, whoa, and then like kind of what's going on around you, and it's just like, and also who you're playing as, and sort of the circumstance of that, and it's like, whoa,
that's what they did a good job. They did a really good job of character development, because I already said I like Bryce.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of like introducing these new characters and then giving their background stories, like literally going back in their past, showing you what they've experienced. So when you hit, and I, again, can't spoil it, but when you hit certain parts later on in the story, you're like, dang, that happened when they were this person, or, you know, why would they do this, blah, blah, blah. So it hits a little bit harder because you start to care about the characters. So they did a really good job with this for such a short
the acting and the motion capture is just the best
crazy.
I've seen to date. I mean, it just looks so good.
I think and then we can move on, because I want to talk about, you know, the Outer World and Death Stranding. We got to talk about Death Stranding. But
no, we don't.
We got it.
Well, it's not even out yet, Derek. So
it doesn't matter. We're talking about
what's there to talk. What's there to talk about?
But there's plenty to talk about. Let's talk about walking.
All right, we'll get to Pizza Delivery Simulator in a minute, but before we get there, what were you gonna say?
So I was gonna say, like, I would highly suggest for our listeners to at least rent this game, because it's only a 5 or 6 hour campaign. So if you don't care about multiplayer, go rent it, beat the campaign, move on with your life.
Think of it like if you at all are interested in war movies. I already referenced these a couple of times in the past. Things like 13 Hours and The Kingdom. Some of the more modern movies that are about wartime, especially in the Middle East. If that interests you at all, this game is basically an interactive 2-part movie, because it's about the length of 2 long movies, maybe 3 regular length movies, and it's great. Good characters,
it's fun.
Good story, epic set pieces, and
And
a very satisfying conclusion. So I thought it was great.
As
And I
someone
don't
who,
even care about multiplayer, and I am having a blast with multiplayer. Like,
Yeah.
I played a few matches on my own and had fun, but I had a lot of fun Friday night playing with Dan Phillips. Shout out to Dan Phillips. He's really good. His friend Brian's really good. Sasan.
Oh, what's Hassan on too?
Yeah.
He's trash.
Oh man, I
So
missed
we
that.
all joined that big group for a little bit, but
Uh,
I don't know who was in charge of it, but we played the same map, the same mode, like
Oh, that
6
was
times in
Dan
a row.
Phillips.
And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to actually play this game. This is ridiculous that we're doing. I can't even pick my loadout. I was not having fun during that. I liked
Dude,
playing with friends that I know, but that part wasn't fun.
I'm furious that I missed playing with Sasan.
But yeah, gaming
That
with
bums me.
played a little
He
bit with
cuts
Kent
in and out.
Kingsford,
It's
Kent
not that
Kingsford
special.
and Alan Heinen and Daniel here. That was a lot of fun. We probably did 5 or 6 or more matches. I don't know. It was fun. It was a good time.
I'd like to play some more is what I would say. Like, I don't want that to be a one-night thing. I think the community should stick to this game for a little bit, play some multiplayer together.
Well,
Yes, there's plenty of single-player games, but that's a fun thing we can do on a
The
Friday.
cross-play works because Dan's on PS4, I'm on Xbox One, and we had a combination of others playing on multiple consoles. But the problem we were having was with chat, and so I am going to push for us to give the Discord thing a shot. I play with headphones on too, but like Derek's got it right now, he's got the over-the-ears. I use those for playing multiplayer, so I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll have my little in-ear from my headphones from my phone. I'll have one of those in so I can hear people and talk to them on Discord, and I'll just put the over-the-ear ones on top of those. I'm just going to give that a shot because we were having some major troubles getting the in-game chat to work.
A little bit.
The fact that it's there is cool, but we couldn't help but take shots at the fact that, boy, this feels like the future. Am I right? Because it was just having so many difficulties. But Derek, one last quick question for you. Without spoiling it, I'll keep it kind of vague. There's a decision you have to make, and Price asks you, are you in or you out? There's a big moment where you have to make a decision on how you want to proceed to get a certain piece of information. Did you say you were in or did you back out?
I was in.
Yeah, same.
I mean, come on. I played the Outer World where
You've murdered whole towns.
terrible everything.
Yeah. All right.
I'm in.
I just wanted to throw out there as someone who's been cynical about Call of Duty. I mean, mostly sarcastically, but for a long time, cynical.
It's a big target. It's easy to make fun of.
Yeah. Call of Duty Modern Brofare is fun. And I think, absolutely definitely worth at least renting if you want to just check out the story because it looks really cool, and it is cool so far for sure. So,
by the way, when you go to your filters to set up a quick online match, if you hit on PlayStation, I guess it would be square, and on Xbox you hit X, and it switches you over to the hardcore modes. I actually prefer those because it's like just a couple of shots takes people down. You don't really get the HUD unless you earn it with an unlock. I kind of prefer that. It almost feels like Call of Duty and Rainbow
is that
Six.
what you were playing in? Then I joined you today, and I was like, there's no HUD.
Yeah.
And then I was literally dying every 5 seconds. I'm like, I didn't even see anybody. I'm like, I'm done. I was angry.
that sounds more fair, though. I mean,
it's actually really fun. And then they just added a mode this weekend called NVG, where it's basically nighttime versions of maps where you can have your night vision goggles on.
And Phillips was mentioning that, but he's like, I haven't seen them yet, but.
Yeah, so I played that a little bit too. Like when I'm playing solo, I'm just jumping. I prefer that. I always do way better on those. Like even if I have a bad match, I'm usually right around even on my kill death ratio.
Because
usually I do really well.
I think if you play like at night and stuff like that, or one shot type kills, like where it's more realistic, it gives each player an actual fair shot.
It feels like the playing field's leveled. Absolutely.
Yeah, because like. For me, like, to play at night, I haven't done it yet, but I'm only picturing this in my head. Like, it would be more stealth-based, so it wouldn't be a run and gun. So
what makes it difficult is you can see all the laser pointers. So if you're looking down the sights, your laser aim is visible to both sides. And so it actually discourages you from sitting in one spot looking down your sights nonstop. You have to kind of wait till you see the enemy to pull up your sights, unless you're okay with being spotted. But if I see lasers going across the way, I avoid it. I go a different way. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I like it. They've introduced some really cool stuff, but for the most part, it's just the same good old Call of Duty multiplayer that you've grown to love or hate. Either way, a lot of it's still the same. Looks and plays great. It's a lot of fun. I will say this: playing that and Outer Worlds at the same time is a little interesting because I think the shooting mechanics, the first-person shooting mechanics of Call of Duty are pretty much the best, or at least they're up there with the best of other first-person shooters. Some people prefer Halo. That's fine. They're both fantastic. But I would say Call of Duty is right there at the top, in my personal opinion, or close to it. And then Outer Worlds, as we talked about a lot, I love this game. I'm like 12 hours in. I'm really enjoying it. I've got 5 companions. The story is really interesting. The worlds are fun. I'm kind of glad that it's not this unbelievably massive game that's going to take me 80 hours. I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah,
But
I'm so happy about that.
I am noticing that I notice how much the shooting is lacking. The fact that I'm playing Call of Duty alternating with this
See,
game.
that's my issue, and that's what I was going to talk about this week. All right, so when the game launched, I played like 8 hours that Friday because I didn't go to work, so I just played. And then I played maybe an hour or two the next couple of days because I was tired from the schedule and stuff. And then I didn't play at all basically last week during like work week. This weekend I played a little bit, and as I'm playing it, I'm like liking the game less. Not because I think it's a bad game, I'm not going to trash or anything, but I really don't like the gunplay at all. And I don't think it's just, well, you just played Call of Duty. No, because I felt like this even when I first started playing it, but I felt like I was kind of giving it a pass. And now I don't want to give it a pass because it's just not fun. Like, a lot of it's just not fun. Like, I never feel like the enemies, I don't know if I'm over-leveled, I don't know what. And you guys know how I'm playing. I'm literally killing everybody in the town. I don't feel like my life is ever in threat.
So that was
even though I've got 30 people shooting at me.
That was definitely something I watched the Easy Allies review. I think IGN's review mentioned it also. There was a few reviews I saw where like pretty much every single one said like dying wasn't an issue at all. Like,
yeah.
And a lot of times the companions actually take care of like most, if not all, of the enemies before you even, like, if they're kind of going ahead of you a bit, like they'll take out some enemies and then it's just like you're looking around, you're like, oh, okay, everything's all set. Like,
yeah, it's been, and I am leveling up a lot. Like, I'm tinkering my weapons. I'm a level 15 as a character, but I have my, you can only tinker your weapons 5 levels above what you are. So if you're 15, you can only go to 20. And so the main weapon I'm using is a 20, and here's my biggest gripe, because some of the guns feel good. So it's not like a weight issue with the guns. It's the most powerful guns I have are laser guns. Those feel like trash. Play Fallout, they feel exactly like Fallout. But then it's the floatiness of the movement. Like, it's just not that fun to play.
I think Obsidian should... I mean, I don't know, because that's just kind of what this game, the style of game is, like this first-person RPG thing. But like Obsidian, that's not their bread and butter as far as combat goes. Like they make games like
I kind of want them to bring in some Infinity War people to show them how to make a good shooter, but
because
they do their RPG stuff in there.
They do like Divinity Sin type of games, right? Like that's their thing. So, and that's very, very different, completely different gameplay-wise. So, like, they need somebody in there to kind of be like, hey, this, if you're gonna make a first-person type of game, but like it's heavy RPG, but like it plays like a shooter, then yeah, they need.
And here's the thing: if you're not gonna make it a good shooter, then that's where like the VAT system does matter. Like the VAT system makes Fallout fun. You'll never hear me say, guys, I love playing Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas because of the just run and gun. Like, it's all about the VAT system. It's all about the RPGs. It's all about exploring.
It gives it more of an RPG and strategic.
So with this, it's I use the slow-mo a little bit, but I don't even have to do it because my life is never feeling threatened. That's
I kind of
not
forget
the
about
case
slow-mo
when I'm playing
a lot.
Fallout.
I kind of forget I even have the slow-mo.
Fallout, I'll die a lot, and I have to use VATS because I'll get overwhelmed, and I'll be like, all right, I have to use it. They're going to kill me in like 2 seconds. So that's one of my gripes. Like, I feel like the gunplay and gameplay. And the other thing is like Daniel was saying, he's like, well, they're more of an RPG studio. I get it. And I don't think we're really giving them a pass. We're just saying what they are. Yeah. But I also think they should have had more like RPG elements in the gameplay, not just, hey, level up. Like actually have like where in Mass Effect or even Borderlands has this, where you have special moves that were like RPG type moves.
Well,
where
your
you can
companions
like lift
do.
They do, but I would like it where I can
Yeah.
like lift the enemy and maybe freeze them and shoot them.
I will
and
say
stuff
this:
like that.
I've steered away a little bit from using the ranged weapons too much. I mean, sometimes you have to, and it is what it is. But some of the melee weapons are pretty awesome. Like I got that science hammer that you get kind of relatively early.
I just found a scythe which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
the Inferno Scythe is pretty
Yeah.
sweet, and so I actually really like the melee weapons. And once you level up that stuff enough, you can start doing powered up moves and sweeps and things like that, and using your blocks in the right timing. The melee is actually pretty fun as far as first person melee goes, which never has been my favorite. I'm actually
Yeah.
enjoying doing the melee, but you do need from time to time to switch over to ranged. And thankfully, the characters are so interesting, and the worlds they've created are
Yeah.
so colorful and alive.
Yeah, it's still a superb
And
game.
the loot, you get tons of loot. Now, most of it's worthless. You're going to break down or sell most of it. But when you get that good piece of loot, that's always a good feeling. And just that character progression is always fun. By the way, it's really cleverly written. I think if we do some kind of
Yeah.
award for, best script or that kind of thing, we'll have to consider this one because it's just so well written. Even the computer on your ship that you talk to, super
Yeah.
clever.
I mentioned last time Pavardi, so the first companion you find.
Yeah.
You said Ashley Birch voices it, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I'm still like, just huge shout out, dude. Like, that character is top 3 favorite characters in a video game this year for me. Like,
Yeah,
she's just
she's a great character.
down to earth. Like, she's like awkward, and she doesn't believe in herself. She has these moments of like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to figure this out. Like, just very human, And and the way it's delivered is just like completely perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of scenes where she's got this issue with someone she's interested in romantically, so you take her
Yeah.
to the bar to have a drink, and she's really
Yeah.
nervous, but doesn't really drink. The whole
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
just kind of adorably real feeling in terms of the performance. So it's good.
It's kind of like if
good.
you took Derek and I to the bar, and we'd be like, I don't know, man. I mean, how do we do this?
I don't drink.
Yeah, people could take advantage of both you so easily.
yeah, for sure.
It's very true.
Yep.
All right, so I'm overall still really enjoying Outer Worlds, and again, I'm kind of encouraged by the fact that it's not this, like I said before, the 70, 80, 100-hour game. Apparently, I'm not that far from the end, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I will play through the rest of that over the next couple weeks. My plan is to have that one wrapped up by the 15th because that's when Star Wars drops, and I want to be able to play.
Oh, you didn't want to
Some
get it
Star
done
Wars.
before the 8th?
I don't really care about anything happening on the 8th. Is there something happening on the 8th?
It's a lot of walking.
Is it
happening
your
on the 8th.
birthday?
It's a
That's-
lot of
that's-
walking.
A lot of tripping and falling.
Are you doing a 5K? Are you doing a 5K? Are you doing a 5K? Is that what you're doing?
All right, so
My
we have not
God.
played this game. I'm assuming at least one, maybe a couple of us will have played it in a couple weeks to actually talk about it. But you clearly want to say something about Death Stranding. I'm gonna let you go ahead. Go ahead, get it off
Yeah,
your
get
chest.
it out of your system, and then I'll.
Because I want to hear about Luigi's Mansion 3 from Daniel. Because I almost bought this game. I was on the verge. But
Actually,
Oh, you didn't buy it?
I don't. I'm not gonna bash the game. I know that's what people would expect.
no. I want to hear what you were gonna say.
No, you
No,
bash
I'm
the
gonna,
game, and then
I'm gonna
I'll
talk
rebuttal.
about the game, but I'm gonna actually ask for you guys' opinion. So
Okay.
we're talking about Death Stranding. This game's reviewing really good. It's like a meta 84, and that's with like 80, 90 reviews. So it's
Yep.
not like a small base
No,
number.
it's
It's
overwhelmingly
a huge
positive.
number,
Yes.
and it's overwhelmingly positive. Of course, you have your negatives, and then you have your overly highs. So the truth is in the middle, and the middle is about 80, 84. Anyways, but I actually, and normally when you've got high reviews, Kojima, you've got me completely sold. Like that's a day one for me. And this game, the reason why I want to talk about it is because I actually went and I didn't just look at the scores. So it is, I will say this, it is annoying, and I'm not one of those, like, they need to take scores off reviews persons. But I hear all the time people like, this is a good game because it has an 84, and you can't dislike it or say it's bad because it reviewed really high. But when I went and watched like the content of the reviews, and this is where I'm gonna bring you guys in a second, I'm watching this, and it's like even the high reviews had overwhelmingly negative things to say about this game. And when I say negative, I'm talking about literally saying this is not fun to play. For like 10 hours, this was not fun. For 15 hours, it felt like a slugfest. But, and they always say, but it pays off in the end.
But
This is-
Kojima.
And so that was my issue. I'm like, this almost feels like people are forced to say this is a good game. And no, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so no, I'm not going to say it's because of Kojima. I'm saying, like, it's almost like they're like, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And then Kojima did something at the end, and, like, probably story-wise, and they're like, oh, I love it, and
It
they
probably
forget
has some
everything.
memorable moment at the end or something. Yeah.
It's definitely political because, like, I was watching. I did not watch a lot of GameSpot's review because they had my favorite reviewer, Feminazi Callie Plague, talking, and I just got to the end, and she said this cheesy
Derek,
line.
I just need to pause you for a second. She is both brave and stunning.
She literally sits in the middle of both.
Is that the
those
one
words.
that came at Vince and Janito?
Yeah.
Brave
I didn't know she was at GameSpot.
and stunning. Continue.
Yeah, she left and went there. So she did the review, and at the very end, she's like, "This is the game America needs right now." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's the biggest turnoff." Plus, she gave it a 9. So if anybody knows how GameSpot is, they normally will give like good games low scores because they're really hard on games. Because, and this is the other bull crap. I'm going to talk about GameSpot for a second. GameSpot's all political. You want high scores with them? Just do something that speaks about gays, women, minorities. You're going to get a high score. They're all political. Go watch the reviews. It's not made up. Go watch them. They all get personal. They all get political. If they score it low, it's because it's just not deep enough for them.
I wonder what they would give the Bill Burr stand-up a score.
The Bill
What's that?
Burr. Oh my gosh, their heads would explode.
So, anyways, but my point I was trying to get to is even with these good reviews, the game does not sound fun at all, and that's what discouraged me because I'm watching these reviews, and I gotta say, the IGN guy got crapped on, but I felt like his review was the most accurate from what was being shown in all these videos. He's basically just telling the truth. This is boring. Like, who wants to sit there and go travel and do 70? There's 70 story missions, and almost all of them are fetch quests.
I think
And all you hear people do is complain about, I hate all the fetch quests in this game. I hate all the fetch quests in this game. It's lazy mission design. Yet you have this Kojima guy creating an entire game that is nothing but fetch quests. And here's the thing. It's not just about fetching stuff. I'm fine with fetching stuff. You go fetch the stuff, and then your whole mission is to walk it back because you don't get like any mode of transportation for the first 10 to 15 hours. Walk it back, but you have to observe the terrain because the terrain can trip you.
The way he's describing it makes it sound like the worst thing ever.
I like how he said he wasn't going to do this, but he's doing it anyway.
He's doing it 100%. But hey, don't forget, during that whole thing, I'm pretty sure you also get to take care of a baby, which sounds like a lot of
So
fun.
that baby helps us so much in the mech combat. So seriously, though, guys, seriously, Daniel, I want your input because you're going to defend it because you're a Kojima.
Well, no.
Before I want to hear what Daniel has to say. He's going to play it. I will just say my only reaction to all of this stuff that's come out, all the discussion was basically, I'm no more or less interested than I already was. I'm curious because it's Kojima.
I'll tell you what's
but I've never been excited. I've never been planning on buying this game for $60. I'll get it when it's on sale or when it's on PS Plus. And when it comes to Game of the Year discussion time, that's when I'll have to rely on others who have played it to fill us in. So I want
to play this out of curiosity if I'm right that it's really bad. And I know people will say, well, then you're just going to make sure you're right. No, because if anybody listens to me, they know I'll change my opinion on something. I'll say something's amazing, and then I'll play it for a while and be like, nope, it's trash. Or I'll say something's trash, and then I'll play it and I'll be like, I stand corrected.
You'll change your opinion, but it is one of two extremes. It's either the best, it's either the GOAT, or it's the garbage.
100%.
It's the G or the other
all
G.
the reviews, not just IGN, even the good reviews, that game did not sell itself at all. The only thing it sold me on is the potential of a crazy but good story.
All right, Daniel, what about you? You're a fan of Kojima. You're a PS4 boy. What do you got?
I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of Kojima. I just think, obviously, the Metal Gear Solid series is very important and good.
It's amazing.
A lot of it, most of it.
By the way, I still never played 4. I played all the other major ones.
Okay.
You don't have to play 4. It's just a movie.
That's what I heard. I never saw.
It's
okay,
one of the most
overrated
movie games ever.
I never watched 4. But anyway, love 1, 2, 3, and 5. I'm with you.
5's amazing.
The first thing I wanted to say when Derek was talking about review scores, I'm tired of it, and they need to get rid of it. They're not going to, but review scores are dumb. They need to stop because at the end of the day, when people complain about these reviews, the reviewers are like, but listen, did you read the words? Because these are opinions. That's what a review is. It's an opinion. And to just sit there and be like, well, here's the opinion, and then here's a number here at the bottom. If the number isn't in the individual's brain exactly what they want it to be, then they're furious. Or they're happy.
Well, yeah,
right?
because again,
there's always a threshold.
Some of the good reviews that I was talking about, if you go and watch them, read them, whatever,
Yeah.
in your head you would think, most people, I can't speak for everybody,
Sure.
okay, this is a 6.5, 7 at best, and then they're like, 9, it's a glorious 9, and you're like, what? That's why I think it's getting a lot of these reactions, is because you're getting even good reviewers saying, literally quoting them, saying this is a slugfest, this is a bore fest, you will get bored, you will get angry that you're playing, you will get frustrated, but it all pays off in the end. And so you're going, okay, but that would be fine if you were frustrated with like a few missions or maybe a couple little design choices. But when literally people are saying, I struggled for like the first 15, 20 hours, but that just sounds like an excuse. That sounds like people that made excuses for Breath of the Wild and all that stuff. Like it's this nostalgia, this connection to this creator, and they're like, he can do no wrong. Even when I felt like he was doing something wrong, he dug himself out of his own hole.
Well,
And it's glorious.
I want to dig into what Daniel just said a little bit more, because we can talk more Death Stranding. I am interested in Death Stranding and what you think about that. But also, without some sort of score on a review, because I could see the argument being made both ways.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would? Do you ever find it useful for you personally to have some sort of score? Yeah.
I mean, I definitely always want to try. So that's why I actually really, and I know I pretty much only bring up Easy Allies because that's mainly the only stuff that I watch when I'm at work, like their podcasts and their video reviews and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Their overall, content. I love their video reviews because I can sit there and I can listen to what they're saying, because that's mainly how they do their reviews, is the video reviews, and they have the game kind of playing in the background, and it's just really well edited and all that. But I'm listening to the words, and I'm taking in what they're saying instead of just then, fast forwarding to the end and seeing what they give as a score. I'm actually at least listening to something that somebody wrote, and then Brandon Jones reads that script of the review of the person that wrote it when they play the game. Okay. So the words to me are going to be more important. Yeah. Do I go on like IGN and scroll down to the number? Yeah, I will admit that I do that because.
Okay, but let's stop for a second though, because you have found an outlet and individuals who work for the outlet that you trust what they're saying. You think they're reasonable. You like the way they describe stuff. You maybe even align with their opinions on stuff. You don't need a score. You just want to hear what they have to say about it because you value that journalist's opinion. Totally makes sense. For those of us like me, I don't really have a go-to site. We've talked about this in the past. Like I like to try to visit all the different review sites, sometimes GameSpot. I want to see what they say, or IGN, or Giant Bomb. I want to hear what they say. But in the end, that's why I kind of go to the aggregate scoring places, because I feel like that typically balances it out. Sometimes it's way off. Sometimes you're going to get something that I think is pretty garbage, but most reviewers really loved. I don't know why, and I missed it. But for the most part, if the average score is right around a 70, that's probably what I'm going to end up thinking. If the average score is right around a 87 or 90, I'm probably going to also love it. That's just the way, for me, this is me personally. When there's an aggregate score, my opinion typically follows along with what that score is. Even if I didn't see it beforehand, I'm like, wow, I really liked it. And then it dropped off at the end. Or wow, that was one of the best games of the year. So to me, I like having the score because selfishly, I really like services like Metacritic that give you summaries of a whole bunch of different opinions and then the average score. So I personally like it, just the way I like to evaluate if I should look into a game or not. But I can see what you're saying. If you found that one place that speaks your language, you don't need a number. I get it.
I think I'm falling between both of you, and here's why. Like, I do the same thing Tim does, but I think for a game like Death Stranding, it's tricky. Like, you need to be educated on the actual content of the reviews, because if you're going by scores, nobody really knows what this game is. Still,
right.
I'm sorry, until you play it, you really don't know what it is. And that's why the reviews turned me off, because I was like, okay, In fact, I posted before reviews came out, I think a day or two before they came out, they released the last trailer. I think it was the last trailer.
Which spoiled a bunch of crap, apparently. I didn't
Yeah.
watch it, but...
Well, I mean, yeah, it did, but it wasn't that bad. Because, again, you don't really have context of what the hell they're talking about.
Well, sure, but...
So I'm watching it, and I'm like, sold. I'm sold. This game looks epic. Like, it looks great, and I trust Kojima. That's how you know I'm not a hater, is because I have this built-in trust that he'll deliver. Because if y'all remember, I didn't like Metal Gear Solid 5. Didn't like it at all. Then I finally got hooked, played through, and then the ending, this is why I believe I know what they're talking about with Death Stranding, the ending actually elevated Metal Gear Solid 5 to one of the best games for me this generation of consoles. So with Death Stranding, if you don't have the content of the reviews, you could go into this thinking, okay, it's just Metal Gear Solid type game, just in a different universe telling a different story.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not even close. Like, some of the complaints are that Kojima designs all these great boss battles. All the boss battles are bland. He says all the enemy types are repeated and reused, and once you figure out how to beat them, it never changes. So you just do the same thing over and over for 70 hours. You do the same mission types, and you face the same enemy types. So the only thing that could sell this thing to anybody who's not a die-hard fan would be that the story delivers. That's it. So the content of the review actually really matters. And that's where I don't like the number system for a game like this, because you now have all these people boasting, this is a great game.
Right.
I think you're going to find that this is going to be one of the most divisive games for gamers. I think even hardcore Kojima fans are going to hit that 10, 15-hour point and be like, this is garbage. Why didn't I listen to the reviews? Oh, that's right, I didn't listen to them. I just looked at the score.
That's the main thing I was trying to get across. Because, so the three of us we're, most of us are mature. I mean, a couple of us more than another. But, and we can kind of, we can sit here and be like, oh, yeah, okay, so this is weird and divisive. And, these scores say one thing and the words are saying another. But, we're being calm, cool, and collected about it, right? And that doesn't seem like a lot of the internet sometimes. So that's why I'm saying when they stare at a number, so in their head, they're like, all right, for me, when I buy games, I need it to be a Metacritic score of 90 or above. Otherwise, it's garbage. And it's like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could end up playing a game that, say, the Metacritic score is 80. And you're like, you know what? There's something about this that I actually do enjoy. But they're not going to go out of their way to do it because they got their head so far up their own behinds that they're
from a
preoccupied with that
business
number.
Standpoint, for reviewers, they need the scoring system.
No, I get that.
That's how they get clicks. So we all understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
We all understand that.
I just
from a gamer perspective, on the internet, and I'm just talking about the groups. I'm not talking about just our group. Our group does it somewhat, but we're smaller. If you go to these bigger groups, it's done all the time, like Unlocked, Beyond, all of them. And that is, you'll get a bunch of people that will comment on a game, and they'll be like, that game is garbage. And if you just ask them, and they're actually honest, did you play it? No, I didn't play it. It reviewed terribly.
Right, yeah.
So they won't ever give a game a chance because they are addicted to the score. Like, if I come in and tell people Greedfall is absolutely amazing, it's just as good as The Outer Worlds, people would laugh at me because they would be like, The Outer Worlds is an 84, 86, whatever it is. And Greedfall, I haven't looked, it's probably a 77, right? So it's almost probably 10 points dividing them. And people wouldn't take it serious. But I've played both games over 10 hours, and they both play differently, but they're set up and designed the same way. Greedfall is an old school RPG, just like The Outer Worlds. So the point I'm making is that people get so stuck on scores that they will justify even a game they don't play. That game's good because it's an 84. That game's bad because it's a 62.
But do you think that's usually wrong, or just sometimes it's off? Because I feel like that's usually accurate to say, if it's in the 80s, it's usually a good game. Sometimes it's not. Death Stranding and other weird games that are kind of out there. I hear you, but but I think most of the time the aggregate score is spot on.
Yeah, I would say yes, but then I look at like games like Gone Home and Journey and stuff like that, and you could go, well, Derek, you just don't like that stuff. And I get that. I don't want to be a jerk about it. But I feel like, this is just my feelings, watching all the reviews for Journey, watching all the discussions for Journey and Gone Home and all, it was all political. It was all like, they're sending the message that we want them to
you're
send.
right. So there might be one or two a year that you would say, this got inaccurately high scores on its
That's
average.
what I'm saying. So
there
Death
might be one or two a
Stranding,
year.
I think, has a chance of falling into that.
Right.
Because if a lot of these reviewers, I know Cali Plague did it, and some of the other ones did it, if they simply reviewed it higher because they liked the message that it was sending to America. Because you know Kojima's taking shots and saying things.
First of all, I don't like you talking bad about her, okay? Colin Moriarty went after her hard on Twitter, and she's still reeling from that, okay?
Well, and she stood strong, though.
She did. I'm proud of her.
She's brave.
She's brave.
And
but my point is, I think I'll get my
right at the
point.
crossroads of brave and stunning.
I think you get my point, and that is, and I'm not, again, I haven't played the game, and to end it on this, very interested in actually trying this game. I'm actually trying to find a way to get it at a discount so I can get it day one. So if Target does the buy two, get one free, and that's one of the games, I'm going to count it as my free game, and I'm going to buy it. But I don't want to pay $60 for it because I'm like, every review I watch, I'm like, hot garbage, you piece of shit. Like, I get angry watching it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be getting
Yeah,
it.
so, I mean, yeah.
We'll talk about it next week, though, because I think, Daniel, you're getting it, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, so we will at least have one of us on the show with some impressions. Sounds like I know Derek well enough at this point. He's 100% going to buy this and play it day one. It doesn't matter if he finds a deal or not. It's happening. So you two at least will be able to talk.
You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to text you on Thursday and be like,
trash.
Give me 20 for it.
You want to pay for part of it? And let me go ahead and answer that question for you now. No. So if you decide to get it,
Tim.
you're going to text me. You're texting me right now. All right, I'll respond. All right. So, but that being said, we'll talk more about our actual impressions, not our impressions of the impressions, and hopefully it'll be actually interesting to listen to. Okay, but I do want to hear about Luigi's Mansion 3, which what I've heard from both reviewers as well as other gamers. That's the opinions I care about the most with games like this. Is that this is just one of the most charming games of the year. But Daniel, have you gotten to play it much? I know it just came out this past week, and you've been playing some Call of Duty and stuff, but have you gotten to play it much? And up from what you've played, what do you think?
Before that, Derek, I responded, just so you know.
I see it.
So that's what I have to say to you.
I didn't ask you trash ass.
Mario. Yeah, no, it's super charming. That was me doing Luigi, being scared, looking for Mario.
That was terrible. Don't explain
Mario. Yeah, no, it's Nintendo does such a fantastic job with their first party games, like the visuals. It's insane, dude. Like, yeah, they're not, obviously we know the system's not as strong as PS4, Xbox One, but good lord, is the lighting in this game is like top notch. It's insane.
Really?
It looks amazing. It actually looks better. Well, I mean, because I guess it is a smaller game than Mario Galaxy. I was going to say it looks better than Mario Galaxy, but it's
Mario Odyssey?
Mario Odyssey, thank you, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's not as like opened up, because I mean, not that Odyssey is like a huge game, but the areas are definitely wider.
It's pretty big. Yeah.
It's visually it looks amazing. It's very charming. The concept is different. I didn't play the second one because that was on the 3DS, I believe.
I did, and I can tell you it was really fun, charming, but I did not like the level type of approach to it. It wasn't like this big open Metroidvania style. It was more like you run through the level. It's hard to describe.
Yeah,
but it's
was
like
it a mansion?
Here's how long it took you. There was a series of buildings, like of different mansions.
Okay.
Whereas now I know it's a big hotel, which is funny that it's called Luigi's Mansion, but who cares?
Yeah.
And so I liked it. I thought the gameplay was still fun, but it just wasn't quite there. And so I'm curious, from what you remember of the previous ones, gameplay is still pretty much the same. You sneak around, you use your vacuum and flashlight to get the spooks. Okay.
I feel like they almost kind of combined as far as the way it the environment works, the way that you just described it, because so essentially it's a haunted hotel. So Mario, Luigi, Peach, the Toads, they get tricked into going to a hotel. It's being run by ghosts, but they don't know that at first, obviously. And then is it King Boo?
King Boo.
The goat from the first one? Was he in the second one also?
He was not in the second. Well, if he was,
Okay.
then it was later in the game. I didn't finish that game, so.
Okay. So King Boo from the first one gets he is saved by the ghost that's running the hotel. So basically it's a whole scheme to try to lure them into the hotel to kidnap them again because of what they did in the first game, or what
Gotcha.
Luigi did in the first game. So pretty much that's how it starts out, and he's trying to save his friends. So yeah, he's got the vacuum again because you got Egad there again, the little doctor dude, or the not doctor,
He's like a scientist guy.
scientist, ghost
Mhm.
scientist, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's there again, and he gets
Yep.
you the vacuum. There is some new gameplay mechanics, so obviously from the trailers, the Gooigi,
Yeah.
which is a little goo version of Luigi, which is actually pretty cool because that adds a whole different layer of gameplay.
I thought
than
Luigi was
using-
just when you're doing co-op.
No, so basically, at some point, he injects your vacuum with the goo so you can actually use it. So what happens is Luigi goes prone, almost kind of, he looks like he's like asleep, standing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're controlling Luigi so he can go through vents.
That's
Or
cool.
if there's like a fence that he can, that has like slits in it, he can go through the fence to kind of go around to unlock things.
Gotcha.
So then, yeah, and you can pop back and forth. There's actually certain moments where you have to utilize both of them. So there was this one part where we were in a kitchen and there was a bunch of smoke in it. So I was trying to suck up the smoke with Luigi, but it wasn't working. So what I did was I held the vacuum to continue sucking the smoke, but then I went to Gooigi, and then I was also doing the same thing. So the both of them were absorbing the smoke with the vacuum, and then that actually cleared out the room.
That's awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
kinda cool.
so and that happens a few times too. There was this other part where there was like a plant that I needed to pry it open, so they both needed to grab the plant from both sides. So things like that. Yeah, the puzzles. That's actually what's super fun about Luigi's Mansion is a lot of the gameplay is very puzzle esque.
Yes.
So you have to
I
actually
mean, you have
kind
some
of
actiony moments when you got to battle the ghosts and get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the vacuum, but you're
that
right.
could be a little wonky sometimes though. The controls aren't like perfect,
Oh, okay. Okay.
but and I think that was kind of the case back in the day too, because you're trying to kind of aim the vacuum around, but things are moving around sort of fast, and
Yes.
each ghost you have to try to make them prone. So it's essentially you also have a flashlight that kind of makes them so they can actually be absorbed with the vacuum,
Yes.
and each
Yeah.
one has different ways that you do that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's super fun.
Is it the kind of game that's going to have a whole bunch of secrets and hidden stuff that you could go back and play through and find secret stuff, or is it pretty straightforward? It is what it is.
This one seems a little more straightforward than the first one, but there are so there's the ghosts in the games, but there's also like hidden boos apparently.
Oh, okay.
So there are some hidden boos, and yeah, there are some rooms that you again like you'll use Guigi to try to kind of infiltrate the room because it's locked from the front. So you're trying to kind of figure out, well, if it's locked from the front, so then you go to the room that's right next to it and you try to like look for a vent maybe, and you're like, oh, there's the vent, so now I can go into the other room and unlock it. So then Luigi can go in there and things like that. So there's a little bit of, kind of finding secrets, not like in the traditional sense of like the platforming Marios, but
Gotcha.
there's a little bit of that. So
Nice. Is this one that
Yeah.
you in general recommend to folks?
yeah, honestly, my wife was mainly more excited about it than I was. Not that I wasn't excited, but she loved the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like beat it for her. Like her and her sister, when they had bought it when they were younger, like couldn't beat it, and then like I just like picked it up like on the last boss fight, and I just beat it for her, and she was like kind of furious because she couldn't figure it out. So yeah, like with us kind of share it, because then we actually, since I had never played it, we did we replayed it together, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. So when this one got announced, I was pretty excited. So yeah,
So,
I would say if you
think
definitely
about
like
it,
them.
Between
Yeah.
this and Pokemon, these are like the marquee Switch exclusives for the holiday season. If you're not a Pokemon person, is this one you would say, hey, if you've got a Switch and you're looking for something, this one's worth your $60?
Yeah, I don't see, and I honestly, not that it's like a perfect game. I think it's fun. I think the puzzles can be fun and unique. Again, it's a gorgeous game. Kind of miss it. Doesn't have the theme from the first Luigi's Mansion. The
Does he still hum along with it though?
No, he doesn't. I keep kind of like doing it myself, like
Yeah.
anticipating that he'll do it, but he's not doing it. It's kind of bumming me out.
Yeah,
But
I did like even in the second one, in the Dark Moon one, he
he did that.
definitely hums. He like does a little bum 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 along with the music. You know?
Yeah, he
Which-
doesn't do it, but
It's just incredibly lovable. It's hard not to love Luigi when he's
Yeah.
doing that. As he's
I would-
terrified, but he's like sneaking through the hallways,
Yeah.
singing along with his theme music. It's great. It's
yeah,
great.
the animations are like the way he's like spooked. Like is just he doesn't just have the same like sort of face the entire time. Like it changes, or like if something scares him, all of a sudden he'll kind of like stand up straight with his arms to his side and kind of almost do like a mummy walk because
Yeah.
he got really spooked, but then he hunches back down. So
And yeah, you were saying the lighting's good. Overall visuals sound like are pretty awesome on this.
yeah, I
one.
was actually super surprised. Like right in the beginning, like when everything kind of starts like being like, oh yeah, okay, so this is a haunted hotel.
Yep.
The way the light was coming in, because then it got dark, and it just like I was like really surprised by the lighting
Dude,
of it. so-
Nintendo knows how to get the most out of their hardware. They just always
Yeah.
have, probably always will. That's awesome. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All
Very
right.
very fun.
Well, that's one that I may get before the end of the year. It might be one of those ones that goes on a surprise Black Friday, $10 off at Walmart or something. Who knows? But that might be one that I grab on the cheap. I probably will get the physical version of that though, because we now have 3 Switches in the house, so I know my boys are going to want to play that too if they get a chance to. So.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. All right, so we've talked about Call of Duty, we talked about Outer Worlds, we've talked about Luigi's Mansion. Those were all October games. What about stuff coming out in November? I don't know if you guys
Death
are...
Stranding, it's all that matters. Death Stranding.
Well, first of all, that is true. That's all that matters.
Death Stranding.
Yes.
I don't know why we talked about Death Stranding so much. I apologize to everyone who... If you're still with us, congrats. Thank you. for sticking
First of all,
with us.
that's a hot topic. People will be appreciating the fact that I brought it up. They might not appreciate what I said about it, but they'll appreciate that we
They'll
talked
appreciate
about
the topic, but they'll hate the takes. Got it.
The Derek take, sure.
The
Yeah.
Derek takes, yeah. All right, so coming out this month, November 1st, we've got a game called Spirit of the North on PS4, so that's already out now. I don't know what that is, but that's coming out to PS4.
Sounds great.
I love you too. On the 5th, we've got a number of games coming out. Just Dance 2020. So
Yeah.
stretch out and get ready. It's coming to every
Cody.
platform. You got no excuses, guys. It's going to be on everything.
That's gonna be game of the year, guys. You'll see.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I will say this: the old school kind of pixel art version of this piqued my interest. So I'm curious to see, are the overall reviews pretty positive for this, and will it hit some kind of discount? I imagine that by the time the Summer Olympics roll around, I might grab this one because it does.
It
Look
actually did look cool. I did like that. The 8-bit part.
Yeah, it does look fun. Planet Zoo comes to PC as well as Red Dead Redemption 2 on November 5th. If you've got a high-end PC, looks like that's the place to play one of Rockstar's best. It looks pretty great. And there's a game coming out, the action platformer called Valfaris, comes out to PS4 and then a few days later to Xbox One. Not sure what that is, but give it a look if it sounds interesting. On the 8th, there's some little indie game called Strand Deathing. Looks really interesting.
Is that an indie game or
Strand Deathing? Yeah, that's what it's called. I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
a Strand
great.
game? Oh, that's that
Strand-
Strand game, right?
Hey Derek, since you're not sure about Death Stranding, we know you're gonna buy it. But your
Yeah.
other alternative that day, here's another option for you: Disney Tsum Tsum Festival.
That sounds like day one.
Yeah,
For real.
yeah. So that's coming out on the 8th, as well as a game called Gollum coming to PS4. And then they're bringing over a Professor Layton game called Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel and the Millionaire's Conspiracy, Deluxe Edition, coming to the Switch that day. Need for Speed Heat drops on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on November 8th, as well as new Super Lucky's Tale. It's like a slightly enhanced version of Super Lucky's Tale from Xbox is now coming to the Switch because Microsoft doesn't care anymore.
No.
They've given up. Romancing Saga 3, for some reason I thought this was a remake, but I guess this is actually a legit sequel coming out to all platforms November 11th.
I thought there was a 3 already.
Maybe
I
there-
do remember there being some sort of trailer for something.
I know there's a 2, but I think that's where it stopped, and I think 3 is a legit. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that one. I'm not a major fan of that series. There's a VR escape the room adventure called Last Labyrinth coming to PSVR and PC. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition comes out on November 14th.
Age of
That's for
Empires.
PC. Age of Empires 2 was awesome.
Yeah,
Way-
shout
way
out to
back
Age
in
of
the day.
Empires.
Yeah,
It's a great
really,
game.
really fun strategy game. Back when I had a PC that could play video games. November 15th is a big one. If you've got a Switch, you've got your main Pokemon entries finally landing in Sword and Shield. My kids have all put that on their Christmas lists, so I'm not sure how we're going to figure this one out for this Christmas. They all want it. And we've got enough Switches in the house to make it happen in some way, shape, or form. I got to figure that out. Who's getting
It's,
what? So I
some
might just buy 2 copies for myself, and then they have to rent it from me. That's what I'm
well,
thinking.
that's how
That's
you
smart.
do trading, Tim.
Yeah.
So you can trade your Pokemans.
Yeah, well, I think I'll do that, and then I'll make them rent it from me to
There,
make some
there
money.
you go.
And then, of course, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order comes out on the 15th as well. And then a game called Tokyo Ghoul Call to Exist.
That's a anime series.
Okay, it's coming out to PS4 and PC that same day as well. Guys, don't forget the most anticipated game for nobody. Shenmue 3 comes out
Aw,
PC
come
and
on.
PS4 on the 19th.
I don't know. I'm pretty hyped now because I just got my Humble Bundle
Uh-huh.
email letting me know the rest of the games I got from last month, not this month. And Shenmue 1 and 2 were included in that package, so I got those for free. So I'm definitely not going to play Death Stranding. I'm definitely going to play Shenmue 1 and 2 to get prepped and prepared
Yeah.
for 3.
And hey, those games are a blast. Okay, take it from
They
me.
really are. I mean,
They're
why play
so fun.
Judgment? Why play Yakuza when you can play Shenmue?
Shenmue, yeah. Not overrated at all. Okay, and then on the 22nd, we've got...
Don't you dare insult my walking simulator.
on the 22nd, we've got Sniper Ghost Warrior contracts.
They're still making those?
I guess. Yeah, it's a first-person shooter. It's a sniper game.
Oh, no,
I'd
I'm
like
thinking
to know
Sniper
how
Elite.
like some of these developers go under that like actually create good games, and then these other devs continue to make bad games. Who's buying them?
And
Besides
then
the song.
here's one that I think
Like
Daniel
Greedfall?
and I mentioned this one last week. This is one that we talked about. It's coming to PC now. SD Gundam G Generation Cross
Ooh.
Rays.
Oh
There
wow,
you go.
that's really
That's not a
great.
mouthful at all.
Coming to PC. All right, that's all I'm seeing right here on my list for November. I'm sure there's others. There's always going to be maybe some indies that drop in here or there. By the way, I should look at this real quick. There's a whole bunch of games that don't have a specific release date yet that could all of a sudden just be like a "and here it is" moment on the eShop or on.
I still think
Store.
like this year is just weak, and I think it's even getting weaker
You're wrong.
with some of these games that I thought would be great that are not.
So
turning
there's,
out to be that great.
This action role playing game called Crosscode, which looks really cool. That is supposed to come out this year. Not sure if it's going to arrive or not. There was a Battletoads game that was scheduled for 2019, but I don't think we've heard anything about a release date for that yet. Same thing with
Yeah, I doubt that.
Babylon's Fall was
Yeah,
talked about.
I doubt that also.
Those are not coming this year, I don't think.
I think they actually said Babylon's. That's the Square Enix one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm
That's-
pretty sure
that's
they said
2020.
that. Okay, I could have sworn they said
I think
2020.
that is. They did. They just still on this list for some reason. My bad.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight Silk Song was mentioned. I don't think it's coming this year.
They said
It's-
2020 also.
It's got a TBD. Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else that looks like it still could sneak out this year? Oh, Rune Factory 4 Special for the Switch. That
Ooh.
could still sneak out. Maybe a December release. Who knows?
I think that has an official date. I could be wrong.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. I'm still waiting for that final piece of the Shovel Knight treasure trove there. That King's. Now I forget what it's called. King of Cards or something like that. I don't know when that's ever going to come out. Probably not even this year. That's pretty much it. That's all that's worth bringing up. A bunch of these are games that most of us have never heard of. Don't know what these
Oh,
are.
y'all all know Dead Island 2 is coming out.
Absolutely, it is.
It's
Absolutely,
it's
it
not been sitting in the queue
Dude.
for like 3 years saying
Dying
"It's
Light's coming out before that is.
What's that?
Said Dying Light 2 is coming out before that is.
I'm sure. Well, I would imagine. I don't see how Dead Island 2 is not dead.
Yeah, I
it
don't
doesn't
know.
even make sense.
I thought it was. It's crazy to me that they're still working on it. So that's it
I
for
think
November.
it's on its third developer, actually.
There's really not a lot coming out in December either. I mean, we get closer to it, we can talk about it, but there's not a lot for December. But there is one. Beware for the scary word for some of you. There's one port that's coming to Switch that I am excited about, and that is Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Rogue both coming to Switch, and I think it's $40 for both of those games. Really pumped for those. I like both those games a lot, so I will happily buy those in all of their low res glory. No
Are
problem.
you gonna give me that $20 for Death Stranding?
No, did you see my response?
Oh, you're gonna give me 30?
No, I want you to give me 20, and I still want you to pay full price.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. Sounds
Just for your insolence, he wants $20.
Just for suggesting that I might want to do that. All right, there's not a whole lot in terms of news, although Daniel, you did bring up, as we were talking about, hey, what news should we cover this week? You brought up Blizzard and Fallout 76.
Oh yeah.
I know there's been a lot of news around Blizzard. They're apparently the worst, but also now that they've announced Diablo 4, they're kind of the best. People can't decide.
Isn't that what's so funny is like how everyone's so like, yeah, let's be up in arms about this thing, like when it actually is something we should be up in arms about, but then like it's like, oh, a new video game, so here you go, guys. And we're like, yeah,
Diablo 4.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be honest, it looks amazing.
See, you're part of the problem, Daniel.
No. See, I said it looks amazing. But Blizzard can go to hell, all right? They can go straight to hell.
So can you give me a quick summary of what's the Blizzard stuff? What's the deal? Why should we hate them?
Well, because we're all supposed to hate China right now, right? Because China is the worst. And we're supposed to respect that their people are trying to be like, hey, government, like, you can't control us anymore. You need to stop, because we're people. We're not just objects that you can control, like puppets. So there's, like... protests going on in China. It's been actually quite how many weeks now? Like 18 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's been going for a while.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see that one basketball game where they were cutting to different people dancing, and they cut to this kid who was dancing, and as soon as he saw he was on camera, he lifted up a shirt that talked about the protests in China, and the cameraman, like, you could tell he like stumbled trying to get the camera off of it.
Yeah. Oh shoot,
that's fantastic.
But yeah. So I was trying to, because I wanted to actually make sure I said the dude's name. So there was Hearthstone, which is that Blizzard mobile card battling game, right? Is that what it is?
It's a great game. Yep.
Yeah. There was a tournament going on, a Blizzard tournament for that game, and this kid called Blitzchung, obviously not his real name, but whatever his online handle, that's why, or his entertainer name, whatever it's called.
Yep.
He won. So when they were interviewing him when he won, he basically said, I don't know if it was verbatim, like, free China, or it's like basically kind of being like, I'm for these protests, like, you know, freedom to China, basically. And they suspended him for a full year, and they said, you can't have your winnings.
Yeah, he lost a lot of money, I think.
Yeah, they said, your winnings, not yours anymore, and you're suspended.
And can you remind, because I remember that story, can you remind me, did they cite a reason for that? Did they give a specific, because he said this?
They don't,
we don't want to take a side?
Yeah, well, it's like their policy not to get political.
Yeah, but like what the deal is like Blizzard is owned, no, what is it? There's some sort of connection with a huge company in China that owns a large portion of Blizzard.
That's what I read. Yep.
So essentially it's them trying to be like, China owns us, so we can't let you speak badly about the Chinese government, because if you do, then that government is going to say you can't sell our products here, and then your Blizzard's going to lose a bunch of money. Yep. So that's obviously what it is, but Blizzard can't say that. So.
But the actual answer they gave is that you're not allowed to get political at all.
Sure. Even though they say we want people to be themselves and to, you know, speak their mind and be their own individual and all that stuff, they say that. They've actually that's what they say. But then that happened, and they were like, no, never mind, because China.
Blizzard and LeBron. Both
yes.
Yeah.
They're all puppets. It's all about money.
And then the president...
So that's why Blizzard is kind of under fire right now. Most of us saw that, and we were like, well, that's awful. That's stupid. And then, of course, they released this Diablo 4 announcement, and people are like, I forget what Blizzard did that's so bad, but this looks great.
But it's twofold, because the president came out, what was it? I think like a week or two after that happened, and he said, oh, like, our bad guys... We're going to diminish his punishment to 6 months, and we will give his money back. They didn't actually say, like, our bad, like, actually apologize. Like, yeah, no, like, screw China. Like, we're totally for what he said. That makes sense. Like, they didn't actually say that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they announced Diablo 4 and the president was out on stage and even, like, kind of doubled down, being like, I think he did say, like, our bad, like, we did definitely do something.
They all he
not,
said
like,
is we were
directly
too
saying,
quick
like,
to judgment.
yeah. Like, kind of a backwards apology. So
we'll see how they weather this storm. Well, how they weather this
They won't. They'll just
blizzard.
go quiet.
Am I right?
Oh my god.
it's getting real snowy out there.
And then another company that we are supposed to hate that has nothing to do with politics, it's just the quality of their games. And that's the guys behind Fallout 76. What's going on over there? What happened
Todd
to them?
Howard, man.
What happened
Todd
to them
Howard.
making Fallout 76 way better? What happened to that?
Well,
I have no idea. I played it more in beta than I did when I actually bought.
But
my
wasn't there
copy.
hope that this would be like the next Division or Rainbow Six Siege, where it's like it was a little lackluster at the start, but boy, it's really become this thriving community over time. Weren't they hoping?
Well, I just think it's Fallout games play terribly, and again, you're eliminating the fun part of Fallout for me. You're taking out the VAT system. You're taking out plus
a
it's just
compelling
broken
single
mess.
player story as well.
Yeah, because I will say this: you have to give Fallout credit for their campaign, like their actually main story missions. Like the story that plays out, they usually have some type of twist that's pretty cool. Like I liked 4 and I liked 3 and I really like New Vegas, which I know that's not Bethesda, but still, in the Fallout world, they always have good, compelling stories. But when you do Fallout 76, you have no story. They eliminated like AI like humans. Like you have no story. You've taken out the best part of the gameplay in a Fallout game. And you have an uninteresting world, and I played a little bit enough to say that it's uninteresting, not because I didn't think it was beautiful, but to me, West Virginia just looked like Massachusetts in Fallout 4. It didn't look any different, so I didn't feel like I was like exploring a new.
I think the
area.
approach made sense because literally the concept was the Fallout happened, and then it's everybody coming out of the vaults, like the first people. So yeah, there isn't technically going to just be people that have colonized above, but now there was supposed to be an update where they were going to add actual NPCs.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
and they delayed it. But then they said, "Hey, why don't you pay $100 for this pass for a full year, so you can get extra perks or whatever for a game that still doesn't actually function properly? Please give us more money." Like. I mean,
yeah, but I think that what you're leaving out is it has perks, but it's really just for people that want a private server. Like nothing's changed. Like if I want to play Fallout 76, I just buy it. Like it's like you can get it for like $20 now. You just buy it, put it in, download it, play it.
But with how the game has functioned, I'm saying with how the game has functioned and sort of after all the reviews and how it was pretty much
it's trash, dude.
Poor, right?
If anybody should be pissed, it's me. I have 2 copies of it. I bought it originally on the PC because I thought I was playing it by myself. And then one of my friends was like, "No, I'm getting it on Xbox." So I was like, "Okay, I'll buy it and play with him." Never played with him. Never played it on the PC. Or like 30 minutes. Okay? I wasted a ton of money. Then I find out it's a broken mess. I get nothing from Bethesda. That's the part I'm the most annoyed by is I cannot believe, and I said this to Tim on the show when the game came out and it was a broken mess. I'm like, I cannot believe they didn't take people that bought this game on day one and just bought the regular standard version and didn't upgrade them to the $80 version. And then the people that bought the $80 version should have gotten a bunch of perks or something.
Well, that's
like,
the thing.
in-game.
That's why everyone's furious about this,
nothing.
like, this, whatever it's called, it's a year pass or season pass, whatever it is, that's the $100 thing. Like, your game was broken. It had just so many people just trashing it after the fact because it was broken, and they weren't acknowledging, really. They were just kind of like, yeah, I mean, like, we make Fallout games, and they're always broken, right? Ha ha ha, chuckle, chuckle. Like, I'm Todd Howard, and I come out in a leather jacket. I'm really cool. Like... Like
somebody
not even
hating on my boy Todd.
Well, it's funny because like he came out the next year after and he's just like, "Our bad," chuckle, chuckle, and it's like, no, like Todd Howard, no, like
was that you who posted that GIF of him when his face gets all blurry
Yeah.
and like glitches out? Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
Yeah, that is.
It makes sense. I think it's very fitting for what
is very fitting.
the kind of games that they make.
All right. Well, the
And
long and short is that Fallout
Yeah.
76 released as a hot dumpster fire, and in an effort to clean it all up, they brought in some
Done
new
nothing.
dumpsters and lit those on fire as well. That's pretty much what happened.
And charge people money for it.
And decided to
More
charge
money.
for it. Yeah.
More money.
So yeah, not going well over
But
there.
here's the thing. They've lost trust. As somebody who always
Yeah.
buys
Yeah.
Bethesda games,
It's true.
I did not love Rage 2. I did not like Fallout 76. I thought that the newest Wolfenstein game that came out was fun but not great. Like I no longer trust Bethesda. They've broken trust. And that's
Same
a
with
huge
Blizzard.
thing. And same with Blizzard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of these companies are doing that. Like they get this arrogance that they can do whatever because people just buy their stuff, and people still buy their stuff. But there are more and more people that are turning into me, and there are already people that are like me before that they're like, you know what, you broke my trust, so you're gonna have to earn it,
Yeah.
and
I
you're
don't-
gonna have to show me something.
Fair.
I don't want it to come across as like those situations where like somebody does something and then everybody's like, we need to set that person on fire. They need to be fired from their job. Let's destroy their
No.
life. Like, it's not that kind of vibe. It's just more like be humble and like admit when you make a mistake.
Be
As a company,
like
you know?
this is I don't understand why more companies don't follow what CD Projekt Red does.
Yeah.
Be like you just created, and I'm not saying they won't be arrogant when Cyberpunk comes out. Maybe they will, but when they released The Witcher 3, they came out in such a humble way, like, "Hey, we're just gonna give you all this stuff." Like they know what they're doing. This is good business. So it's not like they're like, "We're just good guys." Like they are good, probably good guys, but their goal is to create a good image and build trust. So they're saying, "We already gave you way more than $60 worth of a game. We're just gonna give you more." And we're going to announce that we're giving you more. So people will just be like, wow, I paid $60 for this. You gave me all this huge game. Then you gave me all this extra like physical content that I didn't have to pre-order for an extra $20. And now I'm in game and you're adding like all these animations, these costumes, all this stuff that most companies charge for. You're not doing that. And so they've set a precedence that people don't just love their games. They love CD Projekt Red.
They also
And so-
fixed all the like major problems or
Yeah, they
the
listen to
main
their
problems
fans.
that they had in the game, you know?
Yeah, their
They're one of the
their whole
few-
menu structure was totally overhauled, and they added a whole bunch of tutorial stuff that I didn't know they had added till now. I'm playing it through still on the Switch. The tutorials and menus are way cleaner, way better.
They're one of the few devs that are extremely like popular, so they should have like a huge group of people that hate them, and they've found a way to keep, for the most part, most people speaking positively, unless you're Sean Messler, about them.
Did he have
Hello.
to get a mention? We're almost done. We almost made it.
Oh, I
Hello,
mean, technically,
darkness,
I'm
my
not
only
blocked by him anymore. I mean, I don't think he's figured it out yet. So
Be
it's a
careful,
good
man.
day.
He's got some defenders lurking around.
He's not cynical at all.
He's great.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys for taking time to talk. Next week, it's all about looking forward to Star Wars. We're going to totally ignore anything else that might come out on the
Death
8th.
Stranding.
Nope. We're just going to talk about other stuff. Anything else?
Tim, Star Wars is dead to me, and I'm going to be stranding all day.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
gosh.
Listen,
See
I
what
know
I did
we're
there?
supposed to hate EA, but the Fallen
Yeah, EA's the worst also.
Fallen Order is looking pretty awesome. I'm pretty
I
proud of it.
actually think I'm going to end the show, I'm going to order on my PC the EA Access Premier, which is $15, and so you get full access for a month to all their games, the entire game. So I'll have Star Wars and Need for Speed Heat, the
So
full
wait,
game.
I bought Star Wars on Xbox for nothing. You're just gonna totally ignore that? What I
Well,
did for
you won't give me $20 for Death Stranding, so I don't give a crap.
No. I
about
made it very clear. You pay me to play Death Stranding. That's how this
Yeah,
works.
You pay me.
it. Somebody does not know how to do math. You give me money, you buy game.
All right, on that horrible Adam Sandler impersonation, we're gonna sign. We're gonna sign.
The price is wrong, Bob.
The price is wrong, Bob. All right, see you guys next week.
All right.
Bye, Princess.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?